Hi friends, I'm Felicia. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my belated June wrap-up. I'm trying, but not that hard. I'm trying to catch up. Editing videos is just a challenge for me because I hate sitting by my computer in the evenings after work. Like, no, that's the last thing I want to do. So it's hard. But yeah, so I have a lot of videos filmed and they might get to you eventually. But yeah, so I'm going to be sharing my June wrap-up with you. I read 8 books, and so I want to do one video this time, and so I'm just going to get into it. The first book that I finished in June was The Tilbury Ladies Choir by Jennifer Ryan, and I listened to that on audio. It was narrated by Gabrielle Glaser. I can't read my own writing. Laura Kerman, Imogen Wild, Adjoa Ando, Tom Clegg, and Mike Grady. The Tilbury Ladies Choir, apparently I have a hard time saying that, is set in a small town in England during World War II. I think it's at more of the beginning of the war, and it follows this group of women around the town. They're all members of the choir. The book starts with an announcement that the choir is going to be cancelled, I guess, until the end of the war because all of the men have gone to war. But there are some women that think they can just function as a women's choir, and so that's what they end up doing. And so the book kind of centers around that, and it also just follows them through their lives through the war. It is told in an epistolary style, so through letters. I always enjoy that. I thought this book was really good. I enjoyed the story. There was one character that I really did not like, and she had very bad morals. And you're not supposed to like her, and you're supposed to think she has bad morals. But there's something that she does in the book that is just so... It's pretty horrific. Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but, like, it's just, like, something you would not even think of, like, actually happening in real life. And it's happening in this book. But yeah, the thing that happens, it doesn't really have a good resolution. Yeah, so that part was like, okay. But the rest of the book was really good. I liked the characters and just seeing their interactions with each other. And yeah, I really liked that it centered around a choir because I am in my church choir. And so that just is a thing that's close to my heart. And the audiobook even has little clips of a ladies' choir singing when they talk about certain songs that they are performing, and so I enjoyed that. I thought that was a neat touch for the audiobook, and I would also recommend the audiobook. It was really good. Yeah, if you're into World War II fiction, then I would say give this one a read. The next book that I read was The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, and I actually listened to this on audio as well. I bought the Audible one narrated by Anne Hathaway, and that was very delightful. I had never read the book before, and I think I've seen the movie once, and that was many years ago, and I don't really remember much of it. And so the story is not one that really has a soft spot in my heart like it does for a lot of people, but I thought that the story was really good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it just was a really good story. I enjoyed the whimsy of it and just this land of Oz that was so kind of mysterious and fantastical. Yeah, it was a really good quest story. I like a good quest story. So yeah, I enjoyed it and I'm glad that I read it. And now I kind of want to watch the movie and see how that is. The next book that I finished in June was The Jane Austen Project by Kathleen A. Flynn. Yeah. And this was a book that I got for my birthday from my husband, and I started it the next day, so that's pretty rare that I actually start a book like right when I get it. So, but I was really excited to read this. This was mentioned on Modern Mrs. Darcy's summer reading guide, and the premise was just so intriguing to me that I was like, I have to read this. Our main character, Rachel, is a doctor living in the future when basically, you know, the environment has gone to crap. Like, food doesn't really grow naturally, and yeah, like, it's just a really bad time. And time travel has also been perfected, I guess, or it's a thing that people can do anyways. And so main character Rachel goes back with a colleague to Jane Austen's time. They're sent back to steal an unpublished manuscript and some letters as well. So they have studied for months and months on how to present themselves for in this time so that they're believable, and they have this backstory and everything, and they go and they are going to be living in Jane Austen's time for a year, or they have a year to complete their mission and to steal from Jane Austen. And so they have to befriend her and find out where this manuscript and these letters are so that they can take them. And so, yeah, that's just kind of where things take off. And I really enjoyed this book. There were a couple things that kind of took away from my enjoyment. For example, the main character, it's mentioned a few times that she's pretty promiscuous and she doesn't really care who's in her bed, as long as there's someone there. And I'm not sure if there was a point to that or not. Kind of served to offset some things that happen in the book, I guess, but yeah, it didn't really serve as effective character development for me, I guess. I guess that's what the author was going for, but I didn't think it worked particularly well. And like, this is it's an adult book, and there are a few scenes with a little bit of sexy times. So yeah, I would just be aware of that if that's something that concerns you or you like to have the heads up about. It's in here. But other than that, like, it was really fun. Just thinking, like, yeah, what would you do, like, if you were actually friends with Jane Austen? And so, yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was just well written, and for the most part, yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm glad that I read it. I don't know what I'm doing. The next book that I read was The Other Einstein by Marie Benedict, and that I listened to that on audio, and it was narrated by Mojan Marno. This is a book that fits into the genre of famous dude's first wife. No, the hiccups. But yeah, it's kind of funny to me that there are so many books kind of in that vein. It's like kind of its own subgenre. But yeah, so this is about Einstein's first wife, Mileva Mark. It basically goes through how they met, and you know, their relationship and their marriage and the end of their marriage, because this is a character from history, so you know that they did end up getting divorced, or that's a thing that you can find out if you didn't know that. I didn't know that. But yeah, so I just spoiled that for you, sorry. So yeah, and it's told from her perspective. And I thought it was really interesting. I didn't know anything about her. And so I found out that she was actually a very talented physicist as well. And that's actually how they met. And it was very rare for women to be in the sciences at that point in time. And so she faced a lot of challenges with actually breaking through into that field. And Einstein was very supportive of her and did a lot to help her advance her career. They fell in love because they had such a compatibility in their minds and their interests and just the way that they thought. Yeah, it was a middle of the road book for me. Writing was fine, the story was fine, but it felt pretty typical, I guess. There wasn't really anything that stood out for me. The thing that stood out for me is just that you'll lose a bit of respect for Albert Einstein if you read this book, because the portrayal of him is not necessarily the most positive. And I mean, this is fiction, so who knows how much of this is, you know, just made up by the author. But yeah, at the end of the book I was like, Albert Einstein is a bit of a loser, so yeah, that was fun. But if you're interested in books like that, I would say yeah, give it a chance if you want. The next book that I read was The New Hunger by Isaac Marion, and this is book 1.5 in the Warm Bodies series. And this is a zombie series, yes. I actually enjoy these books because just the way that Isaac Marion has written, like, he has just beautiful writing, which sounds so strange to say about zombie anything, but his writing really is beautiful. And if I'm reading something, I'm able to, it's not as bad as like I can't watch zombie movies, no way, but I can read books about them apparently. But yeah, his writing was really good, and I enjoyed this book. It's a prequel to the first book, Warm Bodies, and it just follows through three of the characters from that book and kind of how they, how their journeys become intertwined or intersected or whatever, and how they get together. It was really good. If you're, if you're curious about the series, you could give it a try. I was curious. I didn't think I would like it, and so far I am liking it. So I will be picking up the second book hopefully this year. We'll see. The next book that I read was None Like Him by Jen Wilkin, and that was another audiobook that I listened to, and it's narrated by the author herself, so I always enjoy that when the author narrates their own book. I think it adds something to the reading, adds another layer, I guess. This is a Christian devotional book. The subtitle of the book is 10 Ways That God is Different from Us and Why That's a Good Thing. The author, she literally goes through 10 different characteristics of God and how that how they set God apart from us. So like his omnipotence, his sovereignty, etc., things like that. And I absolutely love this book. It was really impacted me. I think it was just something that I really needed to read at this time, and so, like, right book, right time. So I was really glad that I read it. I actually listened to it twice, like back to back, because it was so good, and I want to get a physical copy and read it again. It has devotional sections at the end of each chapter, and the questions are actually really good. Like, sometimes the devotional section is really lame, but this one they were actually really good, and I was listening to it at work, and I was like, man, I wish I was actually listening to this at home so that I could actually meditate on them. Yeah, it was really good. I'm very hesitant to read Christian devotional books lately because I find so much that people just have theology that does not agree with mine, and I can definitely recommend this one. Jen Wilkin has very healthy theology. You can tell that Jen Wilkin just really has a heart for and a love for the Bible, and she just really respects what it says. So I can heartily recommend this book because of that. She stands just exactly where I stand, and yeah, I have no hesitation recommending this book. For anyone that's looking for a good devotional book, I would very highly recommend this one. She has another book as well, and I really want to get that and read that too. The next book that I finished was Fruits Basket Volume 15. Yeah, 15. Yeah, this one was fine. I can actually remember some of the things that happened in it, so that's pretty rare. But yeah, the storyline is, it's getting very interesting. There's a conflict that's been building throughout the whole series, and it's kind of coming to, in the next few volumes, I know there will be a breaking point as the tension builds more, and I'm very curious to know how that's going to resolve itself. Yeah, I'm actually really excited to move on. Hopefully I'll have the series done yet by the end of the year. I'm trying. We'll see. You guys know how I am about reading series. I'm just so bad at finishing them. Then the last book that I read in June was LMNOP by Mark Dunn, and I read this for my In Real Life book club. We started a thing where we'll take turns, and I went first because I kind of started the book club, so I'm kind of in charge. So we'll each come with a few book suggestions, and then we'll vote. Everyone else will vote, and then we'll read the book that got the highest vote. And so this was the one that they chose out of the ones that I suggested. And so I already read it because I was really excited. I've been excited to read this book for a long time. It's an epistolary book. I'm all about the epistolary novels, guys. And it's set in I think it's fictional island, founded by, what's his name? Nevin Nollip, who was credited with coming up with the phrase, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," which has every letter of the alphabet. It's the shortest, one of the shortest sentences with every letter in an alphabet. So the people that live on this island, they kind of revere him. There's a statue of him in the city square that that has that phrase on it. And one day the letters of the phrase start falling off of the statue. And so the city council decides that it's a sign from Mr. LMNOP, and they have to stop using those letters in their speech and their writing. Like, they can't use them at all. That's just like crazy. And so the author, he stops using these letters as well. And so that's where the epistolary format is very effective in this book, because as they are being told to stop using them in the story, he stops using them as well. And so, like, it's crazy. And this book is, I thought it was brilliant. It just did so many interesting things with, like, kind of a hypothetical totalitarian government. Like, what happens when the government is controlling your language, and, like, totally, like, you know, everything's being monitored, and they don't have freedom of speech. They don't have, you know, like, books are being censored and taken out of the libraries because they contain certain letters. And as the book goes on, like, it just gets worse and worse, and it's just so fascinating, just the interesting things that he does with it. And, like, yeah, I could go on about this book, but, like, just if you are interested in language, linguistics, like, anything like that, I would very much recommend this book. It just was so interesting, and yeah, it was so good. Yeah, I'm really glad that I read it. It was so good. And that's it. Those are all of the books that I read in June. I would love to know your thoughts about them, if you've read any of them, or if you have any suggestions for me of books you think I might like based on these books. Yeah, June was a really good reading month. I actually enjoyed everything that I read. I mean, there were some 3 stars, but other than, like, everything was good and enjoyable. So yeah, that's good. That's all that I have for today, and I thank you very much for watching, and until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.